Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV. We're all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia. I'm sure as many people have been glued to their television sets around the world watching the Olympics, and it has been an amazing games with so many triumphs, and I'm sure a lot of disappointments too. But look, every athlete from every country around the world has given their all, and that's all we can ask for, I think, is to be sort of proud of our athletes in whatever sport that they might be participating in, and the fellowship that goes around the world with people making new friends and being on the world stage. And it's a very exciting time for lots of people around the world. So this week, the Simply Tarot card of the week is the card of the Knight of Swords. Now, in all my years of teaching, a lot of people get very, very confused once we start to work with the sort of court cards, the kings, the queens, the knights, the pages. Look, there's so many different versions of whether a knight is supposed to be a girl or whether it's supposed to be a boy. Now, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, a knight is a man, is a young man up to the age of 25. I haven't seen too many. I'm not saying that this has been not too many women riding on horses, riding through the sunset these days with a sword high in the air. I'm sure we've got plenty of those today. But in the days when these cards were designed, it was the men that went to battle. It wasn't the women. So that's why I determined this as a young man up to 25. Now, I want to be very clear. If you're a mum or you're a dad, your children will always come out as a page or a knight. It doesn't matter if they're 52 and not out; they'll still come out as children in your eyes as a knight or a page. So therefore, that's something to be determined if you're reading your own tarot cards. So the Knight of Swords is a young man up to 25, but it's a speedy situation or a finish. Now, we see that here clearly by him sort of riding his horse. He's got his sword up in the air. He's charging forward. So he's heading towards the finish line. He's sort of going towards something in a very, very speedy situation. It's a really positive card to me because people that may have been waiting for something to come to a conclusion or been working hard on a project, and this is sort of saying we're nearing the end, we're nearing completion. It's time now that you can actually sort of get excited about things are going to start moving forward, that you've come to the conclusion, and it's usually something major. It's not something simple like we managed to get to the supermarket today, but I suppose for some people that's a major thing too. So it's looking at something that's been fairly major in your life. Now, I've had lots and lots of feedback in the last couple of weeks, particularly about the astrology section, about people are sort of tuning in and going back and watching it again and again and again, because they're informing me that they're getting lots of information out of it that's helping them understand why they're feeling as they feel, or that, that makes sense to me, or that's, I now know it's the right time to start looking at making a major decision. What I aim to do in this segment of the show is not break down the 12 signs and give everybody a little mini reading for the week. I pick out what's the best, or what I see as the things that stand out in the chart prior to the show. And then I describe to you which signs it will affect the most and how and why. And a lot of times I'll say then it'll wash over the remaining 8 signs. So at the moment, it's happy birthday to Leos. We're in the final throes of, sort of, oh, no, the final throes. We're in the beginning part of the energy of the sun in Leo. We're sort of heading towards that middle section, and there's lots of birthdays coming up, I'm sure, for lots of famous Leos and people that are famous in our lifetime and people that are famous to us, like our family and our friends. So happy birthday to all the Leos. So that sort of just means that the sun is radiating on the centre stage at the moment. The Olympics couldn't be on at a more perfect time because it is the time when people do want to be on the stage, that do want to be in the limelight. No matter what their star sign is, it's their time to shine. And that's what the Leo energy is about. It's also about being very proud of what you do and being comfortable in your own skin of, who you are and where you're going and what you're hoping to achieve in this lifetime. And sometimes that can be something as simple as, you know, completing something that's been on your desk for a long time. So we all have different levels that we want to shine in. Now, at the moment, we have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is conjunct or holding hands Mercury, the planet of communication. Now, they're both sitting in Virgo. So Mercury actually rules Virgo. So Mercury feels very, very comfortable here. He likes attention to detail. He likes to get things right. He likes to be articulate when he's in a conversation with somebody, or writing an email or sending a text message, or whatever the case may be. And this also covers anybody that does any form of communication for a living, whether they're a songwriter, a script writer, whatever the case may be. So with Venus here conjunct or holding hands Mercury in Virgo, it is going to be affecting Virgos, Capricorns, and Tauruses the most, the opposite sign of Pisces, it will wash over the other 8 signs. So it's got a less of an impact on the other 8 signs. But it doesn't matter what your star sign is. If you're seeking or hoping to attract new love, then you need to be looking in places where people go that has got a lot to do with communication. Now, look, that could be a concert, it could be a lecture, it could be a podcast, but podcasts are usually done in private. It's usually something we listen to by ourselves. Anywhere where there's a lot of people, where communication seems to be happening, where people would go to learn something or understand something. It's not the time to sort of hide yourself behind a tree and sort of say, gee, I wish, love would come and find me. Love doesn't normally look around the back of trees, not in my experience anyway. We actually have to make an effort and get out there and find ways to meet people. Look, I know the modern way is we all go swipe left and right on Tinders and whatever's on dating apps, but sometimes meeting somebody in person is actually more exciting because you get a feel for that person. You automatically know on a instinctive level whether you like or dislike, or whether you feel an attraction or you don't. And they could be the most gorgeous creature, but yet there's no feeling there. And that's where I think sort of dating apps leave things to be a little bit to be desired. You're only looking at a photograph on a screen. Unless you're very highly tuned psychically and can do what's known as psychometry, which is the ability to read an object or a photograph off a screen, then you're going to find that you're going to be maybe missing a lot of opportunities because you go swipe, swipe, swipe. No, don't like that, don't like that. But you're not stopping long enough to gauge the energy that you might be there just because they physically haven't caught your attention because they've got the wrong color hair or the wrong color eyes. So that's just my little soapbox for the day about, maybe get out in person and if you're really serious about finding love, get out and do something, go to places where people actually go, where people might be communicating or listening or talking or whatever. That's the message there. We have the moon, the emotional planet, which moves every 2.5 days. So the moon only sits in a sign for a very, very short space of time. Is conjunct or holding hands what's known as the part of fortune. Now, the part of fortune is not where we're going to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's not where we're going to get the winning lotto numbers or anything like that. It's what we feel fortunate about in our lives. Now, at the moment, the moon will be there, holding hands or conjunct the part of fortune for about the next 18 to 20 hours, also in Virgo. So you may find, now this doesn't matter what your star sign is, you may find that your emotions are a little bit muted at the moment. It's almost like we've taken the energy out of them. It's like, oh, well, okay, whatever. I'm not really feeling emotional. I'm not feeling that I need to sort of voice my opinion very much. I'm taking a very nonchalant sort of attitude towards how the moon is affecting the part of fortune. For some people, it may be sort of looking to reorganize their lives, trying to bring in better finances, trying to get things more organized. And you're looking at it in a non-emotional way. It's sort of like you're not getting upset because there's not enough money in the bank account to stretch over all the bills. You're looking for some creative solutions of how we can try and address the problem, fix the problem, or get on top of it quicker. So this is where the moon here in Virgo is actually helping, because it's taking the sort of the sting out of the tail a little bit and allowing us to look for solutions in a more practical, logical, down-to-earth sort of manner. So that's what I'm suggesting. If there's something there that you need to be looking at, that you need to take the emotions out of, or you're just feeling a little bit flat emotionally and you're sort of thinking, I've got no zing left in me, maybe I've been sitting up watching the Olympics too long. And that may very well be true too. But it can also be that the moon is moving through Virgo and it's asking us to sort of tone our emotions down a little bit. And to put our focus maybe back on our physical health. And, for some people, that can be a real issue. That can cause a lot of stress in your life that, you don't feel physically well, or the condition you've got is not improving, or, there's lots of reasons why we have ill health. And it's not always our own fault that we've done something wrong. It can just be the genetics of who we are and where we've come from, that this is something that runs in families. So be aware of that. If you're feeling a little bit under par emotionally, and your physical health is feeling a little bit run down, maybe be a little bit kinder to yourself. Maybe have a day on the couch and watch the Olympics and sort of just chill out and rest up, and maybe tomorrow then you'll feel better. We have Mars, the planet of action, is also conjunct or holding hands Jupiter in Gemini. Now, this is really, really interesting. We've got a lot of them holding hands today as if they're, going around the mulberry bush. But Mars is the planet of action. Now, Mars is the planet that makes us get out of bed, that says, come on, it's time to get up, it's time to do something, it's time for action. So, when we have Mars here conjunct Jupiter, Jupiter is the planet of opportunity, expansion, luck, and including expanding waistlines, I might say, because sometimes with Jupiter, we don't know what the boundaries are. We don't know when to stop. We don't just sort of say, okay, one slice of cake is enough. No, I'll have two or three because it was so nice. So that's just one way where Jupiter can over exaggerate things a little bit. Now, with Jupiter sitting here in Gemini, so we've got lots of activity at the moment. So Mars is asking us to get up off the couch. Jupiter's suggesting here there's lots of opportunities for expansion, opportunities, new ideas. And with it being in Gemini, it's asking you to be sort of flexible here. Allow those ideas to come and go like a slideshow or the swipe of your phone, bang, 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 bang. And out of that, you might just find that there's some new opportunities or some new ideas that we can jot down and start to sort of expand on. Now, this will also be affecting the other air signs, which is Libra and Aquarius, and the opposite sign of Sagittarius. So it's a time where there will be a lot of things coming in and out of your mind if you're particularly those four signs that I mentioned. The others, it will be a little bit less dramatic. It may be the odd thing that'll come in and out of your mind, and you sort of think, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I remember I was going to get around to that. Or maybe that's a great idea. I should write that down before I forget it. So there'll be lots of opportunities there, but they won't be as pronounced as they will be for those first four signs. And particularly if you're a Sagittarian, I want to suggest to you that don't just dismiss something because it hasn't happened yet. You might have, applied for a new job, or you might have, applied for a loan or whatever and haven't heard anything back yet. And you sort of think, oh, well, maybe that's, too far gone. It's past what you consider being the use by date or when they would have contacted you back. And then right out of the blue, over the next couple of weeks to the next month, you may just get that random text message or that email or something that says, hey, you were successful, give us a call. So don't be surprised that there could be some random things there, particularly for Sagittarians, not so much the other three signs. Now we've got Saturn, the planet of discipline and opportunity, is sitting in Pisces, has been there for quite some time now, since late last year. It will still be there until it's going actually retrograde or backwards at the moment. Now, what that means is the energy is a little bit more subdued. Now, it will be this way until November. It doesn't mean that that Saturn isn't sort of waving his big stick and saying, we've got to get organized and be practical. What it's saying is that Saturn is doing it in a more gentle way. So we may not sort of feel the full effects in as much as it's not so hard hitting, but certainly the messages are still there. So if you're trying to bring in something creative and you're a Pisces, a Cancer, or a Scorpio, and the opposite sign of Virgo, just be aware that there may be a couple of little restrictions there. There may be a couple of things that are not going to be quite as easy as what you thought they were. Maybe Saturn's sort of telling you to go back to the drawing board, reorganize things, make sure that you put a solid foundation under everything, and just make sure that you're very happy with the way everything is sort of transpiring and unfolding. It's not necessarily a time of high energy. It's a time of just plodding along and getting things done quietly. But you'll find over time, you'll get a lot more done at this pace than you would if you were like the bull in the china shop. We also have Neptune, the planet of illusion, delusion, creativity, is also sitting in Pisces, which it rules Pisces. It's also going retrograde or backwards at the moment and will be going that way until December this year. So what this means is it doesn't mean that you're not necessarily creative. It just means that you might have to work that little bit harder to get people to listen to you, to take notice of, the creative, innovative ideas that you're coming up with. That, not everybody's as receptive to it. It's like they've got their ears turned off and we need to get them to turn back on. So maybe you need a different approach. Maybe you need to find a different way of getting your message out there. If you're a creative person and you're feeling a little bit stifled at the moment, then switch your creativity to something else. If you're trying to write a song and nothing's happening, go and paint a wall or bake a cake or do something different. Just break that monotony, break that energy for a little bit. And you may just find by doing that, then the creative juices start to flow. So we're going to take our first caller now, and it's Sonia in Healy in Alaska. Are you there, Sonia?
Yes.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, please, Sonia? What a pretty part of the world you live in.
Well, I'm going through a lot of stuff with my son with court stuff. He has mental illness. and was arrested
Oh,
and
I'm
for
sorry to hear
attacking me.
that.
I'm trying
Oh,
to get him into the hospital instead of out of
uh,
jail, and I have grand jury tomorrow, and all kinds of
oh, I'm
other
sorry.
hearings coming up over the next couple months.
I'm sorry to hear that. So, with your son, obviously, you'd be very heartbroken at his behaviour and the way that he's treated you. But is this more an emotional illness than it is a physical thing?
It's schizoaffective disorder.
Right. So it is an emotional disorder then, which is causing him to misbehave like this, that you have little or no
Yeah,
control over.
it's mental health. He's in psychosis when he's like that.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
It's
I,
not
I,
him.
I tend to use the word emotional illness rather than mental health because some people get a bit thingy about that. They get a bit upset about it. So I just sort of feel it's a softer way of approaching it. Really, really interesting because normally I don't discuss legal situations because each state, each country has different legalities on what we can and can't discuss on a live show like this. But what I can do is look at it from an energetic level, from your son's point of view and from your point of view. And I do actually feel that there is going to be some help. I do feel that somebody's going to be listening to you finally for all the pounding that you've done of the pavement and trying to get, somebody to take notice of you and listen to what's actually happening. The doors are starting to come open, and that's a good thing. I wouldn't necessarily like to see your son tied up in an institution in a jail because I don't feel that that's the right situation for him and his condition. I know he's done the wrong thing. I know he's broken the law. I know he's hurt you, all those sort of things. But to me, he needs help. He doesn't need to be locked up like a caged animal. He needs treatment. And that's what I think is
Yeah,
going
he
to
was
be.
in the hospital 5 days before, and they can't hold him longer than 72 hours. They released
Right,
him still in psychosis.
right. Yeah, but I think what's going to be the upshot out of all this legal stuff is I think a judge will order something like that. Do you know what I mean? He will order that there should be further treatment, not to be incarcerated into a jail cell as such, but into some sort of medical facility where they can get him the help that he needs. This to me is not something that's going to be an easy fix. This is going to be a long term process. It's not something they can do in a couple of days or 5 days or even 5 months, probably. This is something that's going to need to have a lot of experts look at this because I just don't feel, from what I'm picking up from your son energetically, it's like I can't put him in a box. All his symptoms, the things that trigger things aren't necessarily stereotype. There's different things that trigger different parts of his psychosis that I don't even think the experts even understand yet. And, it's making it difficult then, I suppose, for them to even, I can't believe how they can only hold them for such a short space in time. What's that going to do? It's like dropping a drop of water into an empty bucket and say, have a drink, isn't it? I mean, it's silly. So, look, I feel for you over the next few months, but what I'm going to say to you is, even if it looks bleak, just know on an emotional level that they are going to get your son the right treatment. There's going to be right answers. People are finally starting to listen to you, people in authority, that you weren't just, bunging it on or, exaggerating what was happening. If anything, you've underplayed it. And finally, now somebody's listening to what you're trying to say, and the help will come for your son. Sweetheart, I wish I could say that, in 12 months he's going to be perfect and everything's going to be amazing, but you'd know I'd be not telling the truth if I said that. But I can certainly
I had
assure
him
you.
good for a year. So he was doing good for a year, and then it just relapsed when he
Mhm,
went off to the university a few weeks later.
mhm,
And I think I know why. He
right,
just realized his art wasn't what they wanted. It was his
right,
psychosis art, and real normal people don't like that type of stuff. And I think that's
mhm.
why he, just lost
You
it
triggered
and
that
he
spiral.
relapsed.
Mhm. Yep.
But
Yeah,
I'm
but
trying to change the laws because the hospital
mhm.
policies or laws. I'm going everywhere, reaching out everywhere, trying to change the laws. I'm even trying to talk to Donald Trump. you
Yeah,
know,
well, good for you.
I'm going everywhere trying to change the laws and the hospital policies.
Well, that's wonderful because it takes people like you that are going through these situations that do bring about change. But what I was trying to say was, I feel that this new treatment program that they're going to put your son on will be an in and out. outpatient situation. It may be in for a period of time and then an outpatient, but it's sort of like it's a combination of both. And I think it's going to take them 12 months to get him where they believe that he's more settled and more in control of his emotions than he's ever been. And this is a good thing. So just hang on to that. I just know everything's going to be fine. That's where we have to leave it. We're going to talk now with Elaine in Orangeville in Ontario in Canada. Are you there, Elaine?
I am. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, sweetie. Do you have a question I can answer for you?
I'm just curious how my husband is doing on the other side. He made it safely.
Okay. Yes, darling, of course he made it safely. Look, I haven't had anybody come back from the other side of the lane that's ever told me that they didn't make it or they aren't comfortable there. It's, I suppose,
Okay.
what we sort of are searching for here left behind is we want some sort of sign. And the thing is that it takes a long time when they get to the other side before they sort of are accepting that they've gone, even if they knew that their time was coming to an end. We've got to look at that they lose all of us. We've lost one person. So it takes a period of adjustment for them. He's not
That
really
makes sense.
coming through with a direct message, but what I can tell you is that there's a comforting sort of, it's like somebody putting a warm blanket around me as if to say everything's going to be okay. That's the only message that he's giving me at this point. Now,
Okay.
don't be disappointed with that. Sometimes they're a little bit shy to sort of broadcast their message of undying love to you for the rest of the world to hear as well. But I know he will start to come to you in your dreams. He's sharing that with me. And it may not be next week, it may still be a little bit of time away. But the only other thing that he shared with me that he knew his time was coming. Did he know that before he
Right.
passed?
Um, Maybe unconsciously he knew that.
Right. Okay.
I don't.
Because that's what he was sharing with
I
me,
don't.
that he knew his time was coming. But I don't know that he
Okay.
wanted to believe it. So, yeah, it may have very
Right.
well been an unconscious thing, but he certainly wasn't
Right.
ready to go. I can assure you of that. And
Right.
keep showing me a
Okay.
chair. Is there a wooden chair that was special to him or important to him or something he sat in?
Yes, and also yes, there was.
Yeah,
There's a
just
rocking
keep
chair.
showing me the chair, and the chair looks, well,
Okay.
obviously empty because he's not sitting in it, but he just keeps showing me the chair, and it's
Okay.
I'm gonna take from what he's showing me, because he's not talking to me, he's just giving me symbols. I'm gonna take from that when you feel down, when you feel at your downest, is go and sit in the chair,
Mhm.
and maybe that's when he's gonna put that feeling of the warm blanket around you. You know what I mean? That he's holding you,
Okay.
he's with you. They all have different ways
Okay.
of communicating. And, something like that, that if that was his favorite chair and, and you know what chair it is, then he's that's his specific message to you that, and it's hard when you've lost somebody. There's no timetable for when you get over
Mhm.
grief or you learn to live with it. I, was widowed over 40
Right.
years ago, and I can say I can still have bad days. But you learn
Of
somewhere to
course.
park. You park it somewhere, and it comes back, bites you again when you least expect it. But I know your husband's with you. I know he wasn't ready to go. He's got a dog with
Okay.
him that's wagging their tail.
Hmm. Okay.
Was there a special dog you lost early in your marriage?
And not early in our marriage, but you're actually the second person who has mentioned this dog in time because he had a dog growing up, a sled
Right.
dog that was his favorite dog, and
Mhm.
he always talked about her.
Right. Well, the dog's with him,
And
and the dog's wagging a tail like you wouldn't believe. And he is so
that's good.
happy about that. Yeah, no, but I think he
Good.
wants to let you know that even though he misses you deeply, and there isn't a day goes past where he isn't sort of, wandering around looking at what you're up to and whatever. And mind you, they can't come into anywhere private like the bathroom, anything like that. But they do keep an eye on us. But he wants you to know that he's there with the dog and they're having fun. And yeah, that makes sense if it was a childhood dog because it was a very childish, sort of playful sort of dog, like
Right.
running around chasing the ball full of energy. And he seems really happy to sort of share that with you. He's giving me pink hearts now. So that's his way of telling me that he's going, that he loves you and he misses you. And he wants you to just
Thank
be
you.
happy. Don't
I will.
don't keep everything like a mausoleum. You know, if you want to sell up, sell up. If you want to change something, change something. Just don't throw the chair out. I was
Right.
very thingy about
I
that
don't have
chair.
the chair.
Oh,
I
what did
don't
you
have
do
the
with it?
chair. And
What did you
I
do with
didn't.
it?
He actually he took the chair with him when he went somewhere. So I don't know where the chair is.
Oh, okay.
Hmm. But it's okay.
Was there
I
another chair
understand the
though
symbol.
that right, okay, as long as you
No,
understand what the message is, um,
I do.
he was just okay, well, that's all that matters because it's not for you to explain to the rest of us. It was his way of getting
Right.
a message through to you. And look, he really, really does miss you. I felt that there was going to be some changes though. Are you looking to make changes or move or do something or changing where you're living because there was a lot of activity around
Um, I did move. It's been a few years, so I have moved. I moved
you?
4 years ago, and
Right.
he passed away 2 years ago. So anyway, there is a lot going on around us, but I just figured I'd ask because this time of year I always have a sense that he's around me. I
Hmm.
smell things. I dream a lot of dreams, and he's been in the dreams.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
one of those
Yeah, but
things.
he's showing me like a flurry of activity. So I'm not sure whether that means that you're just coming up to a busy period in life. But anyway, he's there with you and he sends you
Maybe.
beautiful lots of hearts and things. And Elaine, that's unfortunately where we've got to leave it. We've come to the end of the show, but I know he loves you and he misses you daily. And the dog's happy. So enjoy your time with the rest of your family. So it's always interesting when we lose somebody that we're looking for some validation, some communication from the other side to let us know that they're okay and all those sort of things. And that's really comforting and it helps us heal and it helps us get through the grieving process. But lots of times, you know, people say to me, I haven't got a message. Well, they don't all come through and they don't all want to, you know, make an appearance either. Sometimes it's just a thought. Sometimes it's a song on the radio that takes you back to a time that was special for the two of you. That's their way of coming through. It's not always in a voice communication or seeing an apparition or seeing their shadow walk past or something like that. It's sometimes just a feeling. So just knowing that they're with you is really important. So this week I'm going to leave you with an Australian singer's song that was really beautiful, and she's a very powerful Indige lady. And the song has got the most powerful, beautiful words, and it's called Listen to Your Heart. So if you get a chance, check it out on YouTube. Listen to Your Heart with Casey Donovan. The words are absolutely magnificent. And it really does tell you to listen to your heart. And, you know, you can have everything that your heart desires if you're in sync with yourself. It doesn't matter what you're looking for. Whether you're looking for money, peace, love, happiness, whatever, you've got to listen to your heart and it'll always lead you where you need to go. So until next week, listen to your heart. Bye for now.